So Jola is our international president for IWART, and I'm just going to give the floor to her, give the screen to her. We can move the barriers on the screen and imagine we're in one big room together.
Okay, yes. Dear colleagues and friends, thank you for coming this morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this parallel event, Women, Artificial Intelligence, Climate Change. How can rural women use AI as a tool to alleviate poverty within the context of climate change? Organized by the International Association of Women in Radio and Television, one of the oldest global networks of women media professionals, with 17 national chapters and members in 54 countries. Since its inception in 1951, IWART has been committed to amplifying women's voices, stories, and leadership within newsroom and in the media industry. Through collaborative projects and networking for women's rights and gender justice at local, national, regional, and global levels. IWART advances its mission through its country chapters, organizes conferences and film festivals, implements projects, undertakes training and workshops, and collaborates with media organizations. We have also built partnership with like-minded international and national organizations through the NGO CSW and other events, with a strong emphasis on training, digitization, and ensuring the safety of women in media. IWART serves as a pivotal platform for advocating gender equality, fostering professional growth, and advocating for a free press that contributes to democracy. Over the years, we have contributed positively to advancing the concerns of women media professionals and to ensuring better gender representation in the media. However, women in the media face growing challenges in recent times. Authoritarian regimes that restrict freedom of expression, online trolling, and violence against women journalists, wars and coups that endanger the lives and livelihoods, disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. We have had to contend with these difficult situations in recent years. Whether in the Philippines, where our members face state surveillance, false cases, and jail, or in Afghanistan, where several of our members have been forced to seek asylum in other countries to save their lives, or in Gaza, where so many journalists have lost their lives. The world has become an increasingly dangerous place for media professionals, particularly women, who seek to speak truth to powers. Our program across all our national chapters seek to speak to these challenging times. Our Kenya IWAR chapter is working with Human Rights Network for journalists to seek innovative ways using AI technologies to map and report on harassment and attacks against women journalists across 5 regions of Africa. The Kenyan chapter also organized a training for the safety of journalists to jumpstart the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Our India chapter organizes the Asian Women Film Festival in New Delhi each year to mark International Women's Day. The 19th edition of this festival, from March 7 to 9, brought together women filmmakers from across Asia to share their voices and visions with a diverse audience, including students, media professionals, and social activists. Our Nepal chapter also organized a film festival to mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. This chapter is also organizing a mentorship program with mentors from the Philippines, India, and Nepal, who will impart skills to a range of groups with a focus on gender equality and women empowerment. On November 16 and 17, 2023, or last year, IWART organized a significant regional conference in Yaoundé, Cameroon, which brought together more than 50 journalists from various regions of the country, representing diverse backgrounds and expertise. Under the auspices of the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunication and UN Women, the event addressed the pressing need for creating safety and productive spaces for women media professionals. The Cameroon chapter has also launched a scholarship campaign after this meeting. Our Philippines launched the Butterfly Campaign on January 25th to call for the government to have a speedy trial of Regime Cumpi's case and to stop the gender-based violence against Filipino journalists and media workers. This coincided with the visit of the UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Expression and Opinion, Ms. Irene Khan, to the Philippines. In 2021, IWARD proposed a digital safe house project in the Philippines, Afghanistan, and Moldova. This has been implemented and pioneered in the Philippines and connects women journalists under attacks to relevant programs and services they need. The Philippine chapter also participated in the multi-stakeholder participatory crafting of the Philippine Plan of Action on the Safety of Journalists. Today's moderated discussion will build on all these initiatives and seeks to increase global attention toward the safety challenges women journalists face and expand international solidarity and support for institutional safety policies and the mechanism for media and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Jola. It's a lot about IAWRT, which is just brilliant. Welcome, Rebecca. We thought, as Jola said, that because we're a media organization and the world has changed, it's been transitioning into the digital age. We hear about AI, which is nothing new. It's really nothing new, trust me. But sometimes we panic and we wonder what is this big monster that is coming at us and all that. And this is what today's forum is going to be about. It's experiential, and it's you're going to hear some from the speakers, but you will get more from them in breakout rooms. And then we come back to plenary with some bullet points to see what we can do going forward, or how we can, bridge gaps within the digital divide for female journalists and rural women. We're very particular about working with rural women because they are our audiences, and it is critical to us. We also have, just to add to what Jola said, we are one of the oldest organizations at the United Nations, a little bit after its inception. And we are accredited, we have special consultative status to the Economic and Social Council, known as ECOSOC, and now DESA and the Department of Global Communications. So here we are, and I'm going to hand over now to our moderator, who is in Zanzibar, Miss Fatuma. I don't even see you anymore, Fatuma. Is she here? Fatuma? See, there's a link problem here. Give me 1 minute. I don't want to usurp responsibilities. I'm sure everybody here uses and know what sometimes to expect. Fatuma. This is what we're talking about, connectivity. What happened to you? You dropped, right?
Well, I don't. Yeah, it is a bit. I'm connecting now. Just so.
All right. So you're coming back in now. All right. I can pick up where you left. Okay. Now. Okay. Okay, darling. Give her a little time. We know what this. There she is. So Fatuma, we're going to put up online the give you a link to the bios of each person here, and so that you can get an idea of who they are. Fatuma is the chapter head for IWART in Tanzania. She's head of the Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation in Zanzibar. and she has a whole lot of stuff going for her. We don't want to go into that right now. We have the bios because we're starting late due to technical difficulties. So I'm going to hand over to you, Fatuma. You can maybe tell a little bit about yourself. It's all yours.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon from beautiful island of Zanzibar. I'm happy to be your moderator today. And welcome to Women, Artificial Intelligence, Climate Change. How can rural women use the tools as AI to alleviate poverty in the context of climate change? This forum will explore the intersection of women, AI, climate change. This panel discussion will activate an interactive group discussion initiating a women's network of media women and SEOs in the thought and action process, working towards inclusive strategies, sharing information and know-how about the technologies women work with, and inviting participants to see how the technologies can also work for them. We are going to have different presenters, and now each presenter, please stick to your 5 minutes presentation, and remember, and then after to send your presentation and your suggestion questions on Monday to IWAT, then we will share email. So we are starting with Jong Hee Kim, is the ICT strategy and policy advisor for ITU at the International Telecommunication Unit, speaks the role of ITU in the digital sphere. So Jong Hee, what are the challenges and opportunities in place to intersect with AI for economic advancement for women and girls? Welcome, Jong Hee.
Thank you, Fatima. You hear me well?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning and afternoon, dear colleagues and fellow panelists. I'm pleased to be among you today representing the ITU. I extend sincere my gratitude to organizer IWAT for these invaluable opportunities. Indeed, our world is undergoing a profound technological transformation, with mobile subscription exceeding global population figures and AI reshaping entire industries. We found ourselves in an era of unprecedented technological adoption. We do, however, as we embrace the promises of digital age, it is essential that we ensure these advancements are not only transformative, but also inclusive and sustainable. Firstly, the rise of emerging tech like AI holds immense promise, but the inclusion dimension is very critical. With 2.6 billion people remaining offline, one cannot participate in the AI revolution without being part of the digital revolution we actually experience today, just now. Despite the efforts to bridge the digital gender gap, substantial disparities still persist. Globally, nearly 20 more women than men remain offline, and with even lower rates of internet access in the least developed countries. Secondly, inequality in technology extends beyond the connectivity issue, impacting social and economic outcomes. This means that many among those connected lack reliable, affordable, safe, and secure access or the necessary skill and contents in their local language to fully benefit from the progress on the SDG. ITU's the latest research on the small island developing states reveals that, for example, the price of data-only mobile broadband in these countries is almost twice that of the world median, underscoring the digital connectivity challenges. And thirdly, the rapid revolution of emerging tech, particularly AI, present another complex challenges. Biased AI systems with over 40% demonstrating gender bias or harmful stereotypes in the recent study in Stanford University underscored the urgent need for a global governance framework to address this issue. At the ITU, we are committed to narrowing the digital divide and empowering women through the digital literacy program and capacity development. As part of our aspirational target for 2030, We aim for universal access to mobile network using the latest technologies, ensuring that all fixed broadband subscription offer the speed of at least 10 megabytes per second and keeping the entry level of broadband subscription cost below 2% of global gross national income per capita. We are also pleased to contribute to the UN-wide Gender Equality Acceleration Plan and lead the Generation Equality Technology and Innovation Action Coalition. As part of the system, we are seeing that ongoing discussion about the Global Digital Compact is a very vital opportunity to advance the women's and girls' right in digital era, set to be discussed and agreed by the member states at the Summit of the Future, which is scheduled for September later in this year. Related to the AI, the ITU's AI for Good initiative and its focus group on AI for digital agriculture are pioneering solutions to empower rural population and women by revolutionizing agricultural practices and enhancing climate resilience. Leveraging AI enables precision farming and sustainability, including controlled environment agriculture, such as vertical farming, leading to more sustainable practices. This contributes to the poverty alleviation and climate change adaptation, providing rural women with informed decision, market access, and the financial services for sustainable growth. Furthermore, ITU is also actively promoting sustainability in the digital industry through the Green Standard and Green Digital Action Initiative, aiming to reduce the e-waste, promote energy efficiency, and foster sustainable digital practices. While the challenges are there and significant, but they also present the opportunities to us as well. So let's remain committed to inclusivity, sustainability, and social responsibility as we navigate this landscape, harnessing the transformative power of digital technology to create more equitable, resilient, and successful digital future for all. I will stop here my presentation. Then thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. And over back to you, Fatima. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jung-Hee Kim. That's amazing. And now the one to present is presentation from Isata Kabir, the founder and CEO of Afrilosophy, that is social enterprise, is the former Minister of Social Welfare, Children and Gender in Sierra Leone government. Isata, what is the goal of Afrilosophy? Share what is a day like in the implementation of Afrilosophy. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fatuma. My name is Isata Kabir, and I am from Sierra Leone. I'm currently in Sierra Leone. And Afrilosophy is a social enterprise focused mostly on women's economic empowerment. What we have done in the last 5 years is focus on education for both women and girls, which means we build primary schools in rural areas where it's still difficult to access even primary level education, and retention for girls is still very, very low. The women's economic question came up because I was trying to make sure girls stay in school longer. I realized if mothers have money, then girls are more likely to get educated. So we focused on helping women to build more sustainable businesses. And the women I'm talking about reside mostly in rural areas. I am a rural woman, but now I'm global. So I really don't like the term rural woman, but women in rural areas, because it is just a location. And what we've done with them is upskilling, capacity building. Some already had basic skills, some had some basic level of education, but most of them are absolutely illiterate and did not have any life skills that would enable them to earn higher incomes. So we work mostly with traders. They buy vegetables and they sell vegetables, or they're farmers who try to take their produce to market. And imagine if you don't sell bananas in 2 days, they rot. So we try to add a level of processing so we can turn a harvest into a product that can go on the shelf and last longer. And we also focus on mentoring girls, so that we can actually get women who can potentially eventually run for elected office. So our 3 strands are really education, economic empowerment, and women's leadership. And doing it in an area where there's no electricity, we have recently added solar to AfriLosophy, so we're not on fossil fuel and generators anymore. But imagine in an area where there's no electricity, you have to provide your own water, you have to provide your own energy, and you really have to be innovative in how you construct these businesses. So our skills training and mentoring is very, very low tech. We make body products with manual mixing, so we're not dependent on heavy machinery that would then depend on electricity. We see ourselves as really an opportunity to bridge the gap between women who don't have access to technology. And AI has the opportunity to be that aspect of technology that would breed inclusion. It can close the spatial distances between women in remote areas and women, in the global north, women in developed countries and women in less developed countries. But AI, if not properly structured, can also add to the separation, can add to the distancing, and definitely can add to the exclusion. So we have an opportunity for AI to be the tool most likely to breed equity and inclusion, or to breed further separation. It provides an opportunity to leapfrog as well. So while we're trying to now get everybody on a grid, we're not doing it with old traditional fossil fuel, we're doing it now with clean energy. While we're trying to get potable water for everybody, we're doing it now with smart water, and we don't have to do it the old traditional way. So AI has the opportunity for us to be able to leapfrog into development, but to do so by jumping over what the West has done in the last 50 years with old traditional technology. For example, we don't need traditional schools and buildings anymore if we have online education. We can get faster access to education for everybody if we're able to access AI. The penetration rate in Sierra Leone is still very, very low. But conversely, women who don't have traditional bank accounts are now more comfortable with mobile money because they have children in big cities or children in other countries that send them money online. And they're more comfortable using their digital space, using digital money, than going into a traditional bank account where maybe they'll be required to read and write and they don't have that access. So in closing, I think we can play catch up with more developed nations in this way if we're able to access AI and other technological advances in an affordable way. The price is still an obstacle for us. It's high. Connectivity is still an obstacle. It's a miracle that I'm actually, flowing and I'm on video. Sometimes I have to turn my video off because it just doesn't have the capacity to do that. And I believe that AI is a tool for climate change. We do recycling and upcycling in our community. We make charcoal out of discarded coconut chaff now instead of cutting down wood. And we have access to this knowledge online. I have learned online and I have passed on this knowledge to women in rural areas to be able to access the same opportunities.
Okay, thank you, Aisata, for your presentation. That's amazing. People in your country are learning a lot from your organization. And now I welcome Michael Drexler, Director of Cloud Delivery Salon Trace. Michael, you have created digital IDs for rural women and girls. What has been the impact on economic and climate change there in Sierra Leone? Welcome, Michael. Is Michael here? Oh.
what are we talking about? We might have to go to Rebecca because back
Okay.
you're both in Sierra Leone. You did so well, Isata, and Michael is having
I
problems.
was worried that I'd lose you at some point.
Yeah. Everybody here knows Zoom and knows what we expect. All right, so why don't we go to
Okay, Rebecca.
yeah.
Okay, welcome Rebecca Hunde from Ethiopia. Rebecca, she's a chapter head of IWAT Ethiopia, museology and journalist, and expert chair of Ethiopia Media Women's Association. Rebecca, on Digital and Science Museum in Addis Ababa, is it working for women and girls and how? What axis? What has been the impact? Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Yeah, it's mine is a little different because it's not what I did. It's about the Ethiopian Science and Art Museum. It's established 2 years ago, and what it's been doing for the people and in general. So, can I share the document? Is it
Yes, please.
possible? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like I couldn't share the document, so I'll just talk about the Ethiopian Museum of Art and Science. It's established in 2000. Okay,
You can share now, Rebecca.
take care.
I don't know, we're having some serious.
Will you able to see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. It's a big museum, the first in its kind in Africa, and it's established in 2002, opened in 2002 October. It's just a short 13 months old, and it's doing a big thing regarding the AI and robots, science and technology, and connecting people from all over the country, especially the youngsters. And it has different sections that interact with people. The Science Museum has its reality. It brings agriculture, technology, and medicine that's made in the culturally. It's been showing. People are visiting around the country for an average 700,000 people visited him in 1 month's time. So it's reaching a lot of people, and it's reaching the capacity that people can reach out and change the minds of what the people are saying about AI, because you know that when you are talking about, in my age, AI is like a something that is a devilish that controls your mind. But now people are students, youngsters, researchers, university students, kindergarten students are participating in looking at a first-hand what AI is creating, what you can create when we study AI or coding, and what AI is doing regarding the elevating the poverty of the country, which is the main thing. So all over the country, they are visiting the places and knowing and understanding, having first-hand experience on what the museum is preventing. And it's becoming a very known place and center of knowledge and excellence. And you can see that the little kids and everybody, mothers, daughters, and everyone is visiting the place, and it was amazing to see that. As I'm an educator and have a school, and
my student visited this museum, and a couple of years back, when you ask them, what do you want to be? Most of them will say that I want to be a soldier, a teacher. And now, because they visited this place and they're inspired to do what they are doing, and they believe that this can be changed the situation in our country, in our home place, even in Africa. Now, most of them say that they want to be a coder, AI specialist, and that's a good thing, because it was scary for us to talk about AI before without having this museum. They couldn't know that it's a possibility and it's showing a positive effect on them. We believe that it's a new museum and it could reach a lot of people. And now it's the beginning. Students are seeing it, believing in it, and wanting to be in this technology, and having contributing it in different way. We believe that they are the researchers, the students, the teachers will reach out to the rural area who, as you are said, like 50% of them, they don't have internet access. So it's reaching out the students reach out to the parents reach out the interested part of the rural area. Now it's getting very known, and I believe it's going to be a big thing, and it will elevate the poverty and the problems we have in a short period of time. Fatuma?
Your mic is off. Your mic is off, Fatuma.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for your presentation about Science Museum. And wow, artificial intelligence is something else. Like, we all have to benefit from it. Thank you so much. And can you remove your presentation, Rebecca?
Okay.
Yeah, so that we keep on. So is Michael back, or he's still not yet in? Michael? Okay, if Michael is not yet in, we can.
I have a question. I have a big question, if you'll allow me. It seemed to me, like, having been to the museum itself, that that this is for Africa. Is it so? How can other? I know it's working nationally within Ethiopia, as you informed us, but do other African countries have access to whatever it is that this museum has to offer?
Yes, they are doing it right now. They hosted different kind of agriculture and IT exhibition. The AI, African AI 2023 is hosted there. A lot of African leaders are, since Addis Ababa is the hub of the continent. So everybody, every president, every IT, and every prime ministers, and they visited the place. It's up to them. It's open for everybody. It's a research center.
Thank you. Could you just remove your stop screen share? Just go to screen share. Good, brilliant. Michael is back. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca, and Michael is back. Are you ready, Michael? Okay, maybe when Michael is getting ready, we can now invite Mandira. We can now invite Mandira. Mandira is the founder and CEO of Otsa Learning Center. Mandira, I understand that you have training kids in farming. Could you share a little bit about how that intersects with the theme of women, artificial intelligence, and climate change? Welcome, Mandira.
Thank you. Fatuma, can you check, like, are you using your laptop or computer? Are you opening your email?
If I can open my email.
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
Yeah, I think because I just sent you my presentation, you know, something is wrong with my laptop that I could not open my email Zoom account in my laptop and share the presentation. So I've just sent you and Sheila the presentation.
Oh, so you want me to share it?
Yeah,
Okay,
if possible. I think I use your,
wait.
let me check your email address. Yeah. I send you in at the gmail.com.
Okay, wait 1 minute.
So until you open and get ready, I'll just welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila, and she
You can start while I'm opening it.
was opportunity regarding. Okay. So
Okay,
yeah, so
here. Okay,
Can you open it, Fatuma?
yes, I want to share it now.
Okay.
I could not put the video in. That again, technology that we need to advance it, or you know, we have to learn how to use technology in staying here in different part of
Why
the world.
I can share it?
People like us who is not so techno friendly. It's not easy, but I can speak. My laptop is open, so if it's not working, shall I start? Okay.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Is it
So-
there? Share.
Yeah. So can you take me
can
to the next slide?
Okay.
I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before I start my campaign or share campaign, I just wanted to raise few questions that I've raised before also in the emails. How can AI support to solve food crisis that we are facing? And rural development is losing human population who can do groundwork. So we need to machine replace human muscle at the same time provide enough organic food. And can we afford to use AI in rural development? We need to calculate budget expenses to implement AI in ground and accessibility to humankind. Can it save from the current global crisis? So next, these are some of the questions that I raised today, because I'm also looking for answers in down the campaign that I have launched in 2015. So I'm thankful to Sheila for letting me share my vision within my country. This is what I have been working on behind the scenes, beside my IWAT work with students and women's group. So next slide, please. So Utsa Nepal is my social entrepreneurship venture. It's my organization that works for education and women, and we have launched a
Indira? Oh. Everyone can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I think my
Yeah.
Indira, you can turn off your camera if you can hear me. I'm going to send her a WhatsApp so that you will have enough bandwidth. And I'm glad Shang-Yi Kim is here to see some of these some of these issues. Is one of the reasons why it's important for us to really forge relationship, long-term relationship with International Telecommunications Union, which a lot of people don't know that it controls our airwaves and everything that we do. So did Mandira get back?
No, I think she disappeared. So I think she'll be back. So when we're waiting for her to come back, then let's go to
Michael.
Michael. Hello, Michael. Welcome back. You've disappeared before. Okay,
Hello,
Michael.
Yeah, I was sorry because there was some construction work outside and I had to lock this door and the other door, so I got up 2 or 3 times.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
It's
Michael.
okay now.
Okay, Michael Drexler is the director of Cloud Delivery Salon Trace. Michael, you have created digital IDs to rural women and girls. What has been the impact on economic and climate change on that? Welcome.
Well, from the background, we're working on the with cocoa farmers since more than 13 years, and like technology was always a companion alongside. And when we launched a startup last year, and we believe that through that data and through those inclusion of those excluded stakeholders in rural areas, will give like food security and economic empowerment. Because we see that many, especially in the cocoa, many work is done by women, or let's say the majority work in cocoa is done by women and not acknowledged. It is done as a side housework. I mean, we, as part of, I'm a designer and a photographer, and during my 13 years in Sierra Leone, I documented those little things that sometimes go unnoticed, but it's very, very details. Like women carry the raw cocoa beans in very small quantities on a to harvest through the course of the year, and it's dried in sometimes very small batches and piled up over the year, and it's a long tedious work, and at the end of the season it's probably sold by a male to an agent, which he in return doesn't get a good price because of the quality. So that's where we come in through our system to change a little bit in the purchasing of the cocoa by using digital technology, and through that we include women and believe that this will solve a very big problem in Sierra Leone in terms of making finance reaching the last mile. I mean, it doesn't reach where it's supposed to reach. That's what I want to say. So we are trying. we are starting right now. So we got some we did some like technical assistance with UNDP, and we are on some World Bank panels for that, and have some first customers in terms of, and see how we can leverage this technology best and most to bridge it. There's a gap, and those gap needs to be bridged. We cannot talk about cocoa when there is no drinking water. You cannot talk about cocoa when there is no electricity, and so that's more the basis of it. By using technology to enable rural communication. Yeah, it's a form of communication, I think.
So on that, how does women there accepting that support you're giving to them?
They accept it very, very well, because it's we try to bring in as many experienced stakeholders, other women, and because it's a new technology, and you see that the technology is very well accepted. Everybody wants a phone. People don't have sometimes phones, so in order to communicate, you need to have sometimes like a basic level of technology. That is like you establish like a common code, what is like to enable communication. Like people don't have phones, and this technology simply enables to solve key problems, even if it's just a light, if it's just a radio. And I think it's a good empowerment if we be able to bring those technology closer to the people who don't have it. Especially in the cocoa, you know, you have a very high technology when it comes to processing in Europe, and you have a very low technology here. So I think that's a big gap where we're trying to come in, bridge the gap, the digital divide.
Okay, thank you, Maisha. There is a question here, but because we are going to breakout sessions, I think Brigitte has a question to you. I think, I don't know if I ask now, or you have to wait for breakout session.
1 second, I have I think let me just show in the camera what we mean. We provide like a digital ID to like participants of development projects, and through that they are connected to our cloud, and that's what we mean about securing digital ID for rural women. People who don't yet have, for example, a voter ID, or when they have a voter ID, for example, to link already the data and share it with the stakeholders like the government for simply better service delivery. So some of our people, that's their first form of having an official document. Yeah.
So Michael, Fatuma, may I?
Yes, please.
Michael, can you put that up close a little? How does that the digital card? Okay, I don't want to see the face of the person here. Thank you very much. So this digital ID, in terms of Sierra Leone, which Isata can maybe attest to, I lived there for 6.5 years. One of these, what is it that they were birth registration and death, you know, and that sort of thing is, you know,
yeah.
A thing, you know, we had that problem in Tanzania years ago when the government started working on it. How does this card, how do you get a card if you do not have a birth certificate or, you know, that sort of thing?
National ID cards?
Yes. Is there a national ID card? Maybe the former
wait, give me
Minister of
1
Children
second.
and Welfare and Children's Affairs, Isata, can maybe also respond to that.
Give me 1 second. I mean, we can literally do any service. Like you can go to one of our service centers. We didn't yet go to the route. I mean, we mentioned it with UNDP and with UNIDO, like in terms of support to develop more services, like you said, registering somebody digitally, birth certificate, filing for complaints in terms of gender-based violence or any form of family support. You know, if it's a digital way you go to any outlet and file for your right or for your service, even if it's to file for a passport in rural areas. You know, it's a headache. So I think that technology can somehow really help. Just 1 second here. Mhm. Yeah, is there, okay, can you hear me? As if it's stiff. No,
Yes,
it's not stiff.
we hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I mean, is there a question or because I stopped talking?
Sheila was asking. I don't know if Sheila, you are satisfied. with
I
the
think,
answer.
yes, when we get to question and answers.
Oh, I did
with
not,
that,
that one I
Michael,
did
it's
not hear.
okay. It's okay, thank you. Mandira is back.
Mandira, welcome back. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for your presentation and the program you're doing there. Congratulations. Mandira, welcome back. Are you ready now?
Yeah, Fatima, I just lost the connection with the internet.
Do I have to share still? Do I have to share? Still?
Yeah, because I just wanted to continue. The main part is coming. Like, you know, when I saw Michael, like it is again a new knowledge that we can link up. So
Yeah, come on.
yeah,
Go
next
see.
slide, please. Next slide.
Next slide. Okay, here.
Yeah. So I launched in 2015 after I left my job with the company that I was working, my media work. I was exhausted and I wanted to restart the 20 years old NGO that my grandfather established. Utsa Nepali is outcome of my grandfather's social work. So I am a daughter of a farmer. My parents still rely on farming, and though I stay in Kathmandu, but I'm from a village. It's a rural village in Bhaktapur, away from Kathmandu, 1 hour away from Kathmandu. So when I got stressed out from my media works, I went back to farms where my parents started for a month or two and started this campaigning, grow your own food campaign with my women's group in my village. So that's how this campaign got in my mind, and I'm continuing now with through an organization in a larger mass with educational institution, students, and farmers, and also youths that I work with. So, yeah, can you go to next slide? So, grow your own food because because of urbanization and modernization and technology, that people have stopped growing foods. Like from 80% of the Nepalese community, farming community has gone to 60%. People don't want to work, go to farms. They are selling their lands, building houses, and they have stopped producing foods. So grow your own food is a campaign, especially during lockdowns when in Kathmandu it was very famous that people started because of the stress and everything. People started doing terrace farming. So my campaign has become more visible, and I have become more confident because there was a lot of in Facebook and all these social media platforms. People were cultivating lands, growing foods, and sharing Instagram, Facebook, and that's how things are going on right now. But I wanted to reach to the next generation. And one question that if you ask to the some of the kids that are studying in Kathmandu is, where does the food comes from? They will say supermarket. It's very funny. They don't know where the food comes from. So this campaign is all about going to students group, telling them how food grows. So can give it to the next slides. So it's my 20 years vision. I'll be working with Women's Group, partnering with educational institution, collaboration with entrepreneurs, agriculture students, and farmers groups. And we'll be using the latest technology to reach different villages. I just don't want to limit myself to Kathmandu, but for the next 2 years, I cannot move out because of my children. But I'm thinking that using of technology and working with different educational institution and entrepreneurs will move out from Kathmandu and collaborate with different agricultural institution, farmers union, to educate people to start, we have to motivate people to grow their food. Like people are selling lands and going abroad, and and also they take same being farmer, because it is not giving us good profit in the business, also that it is not being able to produce enough food. So the picture that you see was my participating before 3 years ago in an exhibition, and this was exhibition by one of the college, and this was exhibition combined with STEAM program. There is a STEAM program that's going on. It's again with technology. They are promoting technology with women's group, and it's a very famous program right now in Kathmandu with different schools. So I participated in that exhibition and started encouraging students to come with the campaign that they need to start growing foods. So I recently did a hiking program, and there are students that I train. We went to different nurseries and learn how to save plants and also continue growing. So they are my students who are doing they are taking plastics, reusable plastics, and they're using pottery and growing food for their own selves. So this is a long-term project that I'll be working with students, but I'm also thinking that how I can use technology and reach to different rural parts of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mandira, for the good job you're doing there. And we have 5 presentations from 5 people. So now we are going for breakout sessions. So everyone can separate to a moderator. A presenter is going to be a moderator of the session. And then question and answers will be there. And then we'll come back after 15 minutes. And each moderator will give us 1 minute of the findings which he or she gets from a session, and then we'll close. Okay, it's the breakout session now.
Okay. Again.
What is
All right.
actually meant by breakout session? Is it like that we join another
Yeah, we
person in a
want to
room,
form
or-
some groups, but we're having a little difficulty here with it. Tech challenges, let's put it that way. So we may change, we may go to plan B and be in plenary doing what we do, but I have my tech person here online here, all the way from South Africa. And all right, so continue, Fatuma. You can, have some questions or whatever it is, and then let me see if we can sort this out in a few seconds.
Okay, yeah. Okay, let's welcoming question and answers. So anyone with a question? Okay, Rebecca. Yes, Rebecca, welcome.
Okay, my question is for Michael. We just started the national ID program in Ethiopia, and we have having very difficult trust in the government because it's saying that for the national ID, we have to give all 10 prints of your hands and even your eyes. And people are talking about like it's the data is it's everything, and especially saying giving your eye print for the ID is it's not secured for you. And what the government did is that if you want a service in a government house, you have to register. That's the only option you have. So it was like a year ago, they started a year ago, and I didn't register, but last month I have to give my 10 prints and my eye prints because I couldn't get a service from the place I want to go. It's like just like forcing. How did the people react to that, and how safe is it, like giving all 10 prints and eyes for the government? That's my question, because it's a difficult time. I'm the only one who gave that from my family. Everyone refused, but they are pushing everybody to give so you can get all the service you wanted, even in the Justice Department.
Okay, Mike, on top of that, there are also 3 questions from Razia that what's the difference between the card and national ID? What's the difference of the card you are making there? And what is the uniqueness of the card? And is it recognized by the government? Okay, welcome, Mike. You mute.
Like we are a private company, and we the data that we are collecting, we don't go into fingerprints, we don't go into iris scan or something. We take a picture which could be biometrically analyzed, but we are not a government. So what we are using, it's basically as if you register with your local building material shop, and you get a discount when you purchase a building material. So you also give some kind of information. Even if in Facebook you upload usually a picture and tell who you are. So the card, why we link it with the national ID is to verify the stakeholder and say, okay, you give your national ID, so meaning you claim that this information match, as if we would be like any company where you start to work, they take your ID as a, you know who you are. And even in Germany, you cannot escape, because now everywhere the biometrics, it's just by a regulation by the government to make it. So you cannot even refuse it. I think there's probably some goods in it and some bads in it, which is probably another meeting to discuss whether it's good or not. So we are trying probably to verify government data or jointly work together in order to achieve something. We are not using the data, and we are not selling the data. The data is owned by our clients, and we do not tamper with the data in terms of extracting a value out of it on somebody else's property, which is the data. Yeah, Sheila, I see the hand raised.
Yeah,
You can now send
I have a question for Madam Exeter. I said, as a former parliamentarian and minister, you've been on both sides. You've seen it from the bottom up, and you've seen it from the top down. In Sierra Leone, there has always been a problem with climate change, right? Hundreds and hundreds or a couple thousand people died in one place where people were building, which should have been protected land, right? And the logging and that sort of thing. And and you're working with the people down there as well, you know, people who are forgotten. They are really important people, because you said something in your statement about you don't like to talk about them as disempowered or disenfranchised or something like that, because, right? Which I quite like that statement. How is your work? Are the people aware and know that something is happening, something that's man-made, perhaps, not a Noah's Ark, that is causing the flooding that is taking away hope? There's a man I helped in Sierra Leone who this is recently, who, when the flood rains came down, he told his children to go to the bedroom, and one little girl was taken away with the house and buried under the house. And I saw the digging. How is your work with the farmers and with those people that you're training and giving skill set, it seems, intersect with the fact that a natural or an unnatural occurrence is taking place? I know that's a long.
What we're trying to do locally in my area is basically trying to set up like an emergency response corps. I was the MP here during Ebola, and we had very amazing young people that became first responders, highly like low illiterate, but they were now able to learn the symptoms of health emergencies. And my hope was that nationally, we would have been able to keep this health emergency corps and then transform them into just an emergency response corps, whether it's climate change, whether it's another kind of natural disaster, they'll be able to respond. And while I was at Foreign Affairs, actually working on a project to do that, then we had the mudslide in Freetown, where over 1,000 lives were lost because it was on a hill and it's been degraded for many, many years, and people have been building where they're not supposed to be building. So the disconnect for me is always why people don't yet realize the import of their action towards these kind of occurrences. Most of the time you hear government as if it has nothing to do with me. And that's what we're trying to bridge, so that your single action of cutting down a tree here to make charcoal is going to impact somebody somewhere, whether in this locality or somewhere even further off. So we're being impacted here in Africa by big companies in another region of the world. The South is suffering because of that, but your action here has import towards somebody else's, suffering as well. And of course, Sierra Leone, we are one of the worst countries for environmental disasters. It's everywhere. Everybody knows that. But I think on the ground, there's really not yet this acknowledgement that individual action towards reparation is as important as government's commitment. And talking about government commitment, for the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a disastrous policy of timber mining that has resulted in new flood areas. So usually Freetown floods every season, every rainy season. But this past 2 years, we've had flooding in Kabbalah, where they've felled a lot of trees and they've, completely down the timber, the wooded forest there. And in practical terms, the result is happening now. We've had horrendous floods. And I think government has a great responsibility, of course, in building awareness, but also taking the right action towards policy and practice. And if we're to get to a point where our environmental practices actually match policies, then I think there has to be more noise made around it, so ordinary people can take up the mantle.
Thank you. Fatuma?
Yes, there is another question.
We're not going to break out the room because we have a problem here. A challenge, we don't know what it is. Even Sarah was trying to help, and so it's not happening. Zhong Yi, let me just bring Zhong Yi in here. Zhong Yi, I don't know if you and Isata knows this, or Rebecca, or all the folks here from the largest continent and wealthiest continent on earth, Africa. If you know that fiber optic was invented and developed by a Ghanaian
Yes.
at MIT, who I know personally. Well, you know, and that this link goes all the way from South Africa down to, I don't know if it's Italy or where. Maybe Jungi, you can come in on that if you are aware of that one. And that African countries have access to it. All they need to do, and I've spoken about that on air across Africa, is to go out there in the waters and bring that power into their country so that everybody have access to these kind of advancement in technology, you know, electricity for one thing, you know. How is this gonna happen, Jungi? How can we, because, you know, we talk about all the things that are happening to people. There's no education in terms of people knowing that these things exist to advocate for their government to make right these things and give us access to access.
Thank you, Fatima, for the question. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I was not aware of that, the amazing history of the inventor of Ghanaian at the MIT. It's really, really good to know. Maybe I need to Google more of have the full background, the information. I really appreciate the sharing the information. Answering your question, of course, is actually we need multiple layers of efforts to access mainly for the biggest continents in Africa. Here, let me introduce the one of our major project for connectivity called the GIGA. I don't know you ever heard about it, but GIGA is the ITU initiative together with UNICEF to connect every school to the internet, to the world by 2030. So we work with the country, the government, stakeholders, and then to start to map every school in a country, and then to identify what kind of resources they have in the national level, and then also the government level, what kind of resources they could provide. So we work with the government and different stakeholders, mainly for the school, the communities, to connect every school in the country. So once we identify the map of the school in the country, we provide the capacity development, and then using the financial resources using by blockchain, and to facilitate the financial resources for that, and then also the providing the educational program for that. So the GIGA is very interesting because it has been already acknowledged by the UNSG, Secretary General of the United Nations, and then it was included in his own vision of connecting school. And then, as I briefly mentioned, currently at the UN level, we are working on the developing the Global Digital Compact. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but this is the UNSG's vision for the connectivity by establishing global principle to address the digital issue. So we are waiting for the zero draft of the Global Digital Compact by end of March. And then after having intergovernmental level of discussion about the global principle on digital issue, and then will be adopted by the member states at the Summit of the Future in September. So there, it's going to be like a full package of high-level principle to address the digital divide, and then the capacity development and security and safety and lack of resources in the rural and the national level, and then also the addressing the issue of emerging technology like governance of AI. So I'm more than happy to provide additional information about that, the answering the interesting history of the fiber optic inventory. Thank you. Back to you, Fatima.
Okay, thank you so much, June. We're almost at that time. However, what we planned, well, we just planned something else right now. Anyone has any questions for any of our distinguished speakers as it relates to climate
Sheila,
technology?
yeah, Sheila,
Yeah,
Sheila,
Mandela.
I still have like, you liked my work, so you asked me to present, but I'm still searching answers for our works, like Nepal is still a rural place. Like, we have, I think, a lot of villages and we're looking for answers. But I'm still looking for discussion that, how can artificial intelligence could be used for rural development? I think we have still sharing our views as a speaker, but we haven't discussed on this topic. And I think even the participants can share their experience, or even vision sharing would be good out of today's discussion, because we really need to think, because AI, people still are afraid of using AI. They think that it's a big tech thing, and it is going to take our information and sell us. There are very misinformation about using artificial intelligence, especially here in Nepal. Like, so I think hearing many people who at least know their opinion will also be helpful for out of today's discussion.
Okay, you heard Mandira, so please speak. Yvonne, Dr. Wintz.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Oh, yes, I'm calling from the UK, so I'm a bit confused about my time. But I think I'd like to just interject here and take us back to what I call framing the situation. And as someone who deals with policy, science and technology policy, I think we need to always understand what our framing parameters are with respect to AI, its introduction and its uptake and its utility for the for different communities. And just to begin, and this has been mentioned by several presenters so far, for AI to be successfully implemented and used, it has to be built on mutual trust. And the trust issues keep coming up time and time again. And the mutual trust depends on transparency and the factual information. And those things have to go both ways. In other words, the creators of AI technologies need to be transparent in terms of what it is that they're creating, what the pros and cons are, but at the same time, the audience to which they direct this to, they need to be informed, and it needs to be broken down to them in such a manner that they understand what's being presented to them. That's how trust begins. And too often I hear conversations, it's a one-way conversation. It's going from the big developers to an amorphous group of people. They all have different needs and they all have different beliefs. So it's one thing that needs to be sold to different audiences. And I think journalists, you mentioned, Sheila, earlier on the digital divide between journalists and the indigenous communities. And I think that's a very important connection that needs to be not only maintained, but it needs to be opened 24/7. Because what AI is doing is it is bringing real-time developments to audiences who have problems that need real-time solutions. So it's an immediate kind of interaction that we're dealing with. It's no longer the days of, when Captain Cook was sailing to Australia that took several months or wherever, or the transatlantic trade where, bananas from Jamaica to the UK took how many days or weeks, right? Somebody has a problem today, they want information today to help them to fix it. And journalists play a very important role in being a conduit and a verifier of some of that information as it is moving from the creator to the user. So I think it is probably something that needs to be looked at. I'm not a journalist, so please forgive me if I say something that is going contrary to what journalists do, because I'm a scientist. But I'm just imploring the group of journalists that are listening to me, please make sure that the information that you get, you verify it and that you understand it and that you can explain it in layman's terms to your audience. And I think it's very critical and it's very important, because one of the things with scientists is that we like jargon. We talk in techno speak, and if it's very difficult for people outside of a particular discipline, even if you're a scientist, you don't get it, much less a layman who has no scientific background. So that's one thing. But I think, as I mentioned before, operating in real time is very important. So I'll just throw out some things because I knew you need to move on. Traceability is a key part of all of this too, from the beginning to the very end of the process. Farmers, marketers, sellers of goods, everybody talks about, from farm to table, for example, in the whole food chain. But it's not just related to that alone. It is across the board. Can you identify where the information is coming from? Can you verify that the information is accurate? Can you act upon it? And if the results of what you get are not accurate, or there's an issue, can you go back to source? And so transparency is, as once again I mentioned, transparency and traceability are two things. But also what AI gives us is the ability to learn to do what I call forward planning. And many of you might have heard of the term foresighting. And there are lots of people who have now become foresighting experts. And what it is taking data, factual information, using it to create possible futures, looking at what those possibilities are, and using them to plan. And this is what AI helps you to do, because it helps you to go through tons, for want of a better explanation, tons of information. There's a lot of data out in the internet, out on the internet in the world. AI allows you to troll through that information and get quick time solutions. And that's what I'm giving you. And so in summary, I'm just saying AI has the possibility to enable evidence-based problem solving, which gives you decision-making processes that are in real time and are based on facts. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. And especially in problem solving, from 4th to 8th March this year in Zanzibar, here we had a meeting of Commonwealth law ministers and senior officials, and AI is one of the things we discussed to help women who are faced with GBV. So AI is going to solve different problems. So then now our 20 minutes for discussion and question and answers is mostly done, but if someone have anything to say about AI can contribute, then we will conclude our session today.
You can use the reaction button at the bottom to raise your hands, or you can put your question in the chat.
No, yeah, in the chat there are
We
many
need the
questions.
audience to come in here on this now. I see Jenny. Jenny.
I can see Linda. He asked Mandira, how does your farming effort in your country influence the use of AI? What could be the backlash derived from AI?
Yeah, Fatima, for me, the question is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share with you all, like, the internet has right now created it's both good and bad. Good is that, like most of the Nepalese people, each one household has some person abroad, like, Nepal recently is relying in remittance money. So the internet has made the world very small, so we stay in Kathmandu and talk to the relatives or our family members who are outside Kathmandu. So internet is highly used, but then at the same time, some of the apps and some of the resources are also misleading our women's group, especially. Like government had to ban TikTok because there was overuse of those platforms. At the same time, it's a good platform for entrepreneurs. It was giving us a lot of talent opportunity, but at the same time there was a lot of misinformation and people were misusing the resources. So here in Kathmandu or any part of the Nepal, internet is booming, it is being used, but at the same time it is also creating a lot of problems. Like we hear that there are a lot of cyber crimes issues that has been registered in our cyber bureau right now. So I think internet is good, but at the same time it is also creating a lot of problems among the communities.
Okay, another question. Sorry?
Yeah, yeah, continue.
Okay, the other question is for any speaker who shared about the AI projects programs. The question is, what ethical guidelines are implemented in the use of AI in the projects or programs you are discussed? Maybe Yong-hee, can you help with that question?
Sorry, I missed it. Questions, Fatima, because I gotta go now to jump in other meetings. So terribly sorry.
Okay, what ethical guidelines are implemented in the use of AI in the projects or program you have discussed?
Okay, so ethics guidelines of AI, which that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Sorry, well, within the UN system, and we have an interagency UN agency working group developing or discussing the guidelines of AI and including governance of AI and ethical guidelines for the AI. Currently, we have more than 50 technical mechanisms to support, to addressing the issue of the artificial intelligence. Focusing on the ethical guideline, I would suggest to all of you to have a look the guideline provided by UNESCO on ethical guideline of the artificial intelligence. I can send you the link on chat, and then but really it's one of many mechanisms, but this is one. And also at the UN level, at the General Assembly level, there is a member state discussion on the governance of AI. So it's going to be, we are expecting to have a UN General Assembly resolution on artificial intelligence sooner or later this in coming months. So there you will also see the ethical, some kind of minimum guidelines of development of AI to facilitate the different issues, etc. I stop here, but if any of you have more information about the UN activities on artificial intelligence or UN-wide, system-wide efforts on governance of AI, etc., I'm more than happy to stay connected with you and provide the information. Stop here. Back to you, Fatima.
Okay, I think the question was answered, and Linda is contributing by saying that students depend on AI for school requirements. It has both positive and negative effects. AI regulations must be in place. And then Brigitta is saying, you mentioned Sandra Wind, you mentioned that AI provides evidence-based solutions. Often, however, the information, the text they provide is not correct. It's impressive how fast it can put together sense-making information but it has to be complemented by firm fact checking and triangulation. We need to strengthening the media and information literacy. Yeah, I think that's all we have, and we have 3 minutes to finish our forum today. Oh, welcome, Sandra.
Oh, I'd just like to respond to that statement, because I do agree, and I have had AI tell me that I was the recipient of a National Science Award, which I was not. And I had to have a conversation with said ChatGPT to tell it that, no, I have not received any such award. And it said, but we found, I said, no, please. And that is an actual situation. So I can agree wholeheartedly with that. But that takes me back to the point that I made previously. And that is that we need to frame our questions. We need to, garbage in, garbage out. We need, AI can only act on the information that's available on the internet, okay? It is not able to create its own information as such, new data. But what that says to us is that we need to understand our role in the process. AI is not in charge of us. We are in charge of AI. We made it. Therefore, we need to know how to frame the questions to get the appropriate and the most effective responses from it. We need to have a verification process as well, so that when the answers come back, we can test it. AI is not going to be something that is going to give us, you just hold your hands up and say, give me an answer, tell me how to do this. If it does not have the inputs, verifiable inputs, it cannot create a response to you that is going to make any sense. I have used AI models to try to create animals for a project that I was doing. And I got a fish with a crocodile head and 3 eyes and etc., etc. You have, in other words, you can get things that don't make any sense.
Thank you, Dr. Wendt. This is interesting. We're having an AI problem right now with the Zoom. And my husband, because this is coming from my house, is getting mad at Zoom on the phone, right? For what his wife is going through here. So there we go, voila. I saw Brigitte Yalov, who does a lot of work with rural women. I don't know if she wants to come in here, but it seemed to me, Fatuma, that AI is here to stay, and some of what Dr. Wendt is talking about in terms of misinformation, disinformation. We as media women know this, all around. One of the things in the United States that we've had big difficulty with is that the police, well, in New York City and in Jersey, Connecticut, I think they were using AI images. We are not at the table as people of African descent or Native American or whatever it is. And so therefore, what is created by the creator to look like the creator. Man is God. Let's look at it that way. We create, right? They said God created man in his own image, right? So we are creating. I love what Morena said, the Godhead, we are creating something that look like us. And so on facial recognition, Black and brown kids are picked up across these states, across the country, because of AI images, right? And so on, it's for white people, let's call it what it is there. But also there's a lot of Africans on this call here today, and I'm so happy to see that. What you must own and remember, and Jenny, I will go to you and Violet, own and remember is that all the resources that are enabling these things are coming out of Africa but still Nigeria is in darkness and that sort of thing. So we should think on these things. Jenny, you've had your hands up for a long time.
Okay, I just wanted to come in on.
Michael. All right, go on, because we're going to.
No, because it fits it. Because Sandra said tons of data, and when she said tons of data, I immediately had what you said just now, because the resources are coming from Africa. So it's quite a good measurement to measure in tons of data, because data, you know, at the end it's cobalt from DRC, and it's aluminium from Sierra Leone, and it's gold from Sierra Leone that goes into that tons of data. Well said. That's why. Sorry for interfering. Sorry.
That's all right. Bauxite from Jamaica too. All right. Jenny, you're up next, and then Violet, and then Nima.
Yeah, I want to just return to Sheila. How you opened us up was that AI has been around for a long time, and I think the fear around AI is a fear about, you know, power, and because after World War II really opened up the floodgates of computerized intelligence, right? So we've been working with AI, has been part of our lives, our daily lives, and it really boomed in COVID, right? Because everyone went remote and we relied on computers and Zoom and all that stuff to be able to interact. But we've been, you know, using AI as part of our daily lives. You know, in the 90s in the United States, banks stopped, you know, we were able to access money on weekends because of ATMs, right? That's fundamentally artificial intelligence. So I think the fear is around power and control. And so I just want to thank Dr. Wint from really emphasizing that it's about authority, right? So we have authority over what we accept as true, what we share as, you know, reasonable. So really talking about the power of individuals in groups in determining, you know, garbage in, garbage out, like to cut the garbage at the source, and that's our own selves.
Thank you, Jenny. And Violet, Gonda.
Thanks, Sheila.
Violet is one of our former president of IAWRT.
Thanks, Sheila. I'm very happy to be here and so excited that we are discussing this very important topic. I've just come back from Cape Town, actually, where we had, for the first time ever, a discussion on AI and political campaigns. And the interesting thing was that this year alone, there are going to be more than 60 elections in the world, and 20 of those are going to be in Africa. So it's ways to be seen how AI is going to be used in some of these elections. And I think, like, starting this discussion also as IAWRT on these platforms, I hope that we're going to continue talking about these, especially where we come from, Africa and Asia. These issues are not really, in terms of AI, are not really being discussed. Although, as I think Michael has pointed out, and you have also pointed out, a lot of the, things that are coming out from AI, coming out from countries like Africa, but we're being left behind. I have a question for, I think it's Sandra, where she was talking about how we actually tell AI apps what we want. So my question is that, given that AI relies on human input to generate responses, how can we ensure that the information provided is accurate, unbiased, and representative of diverse perspectives? Additionally, what safeguards can be put in place to prevent AI from perpetuating and potentially amplifying existing biases in the data it's trained on? I hope Sandra can help us with these questions. Thank you.
Well, I'll try, but I think we have to go back to the creation of the AI platforms. It is in the creation of, it's in the writing of the codes, it is in the setting of those parameters wherein bias is introduced. And it is therefore incumbent on us that we look at where and who are the creators of the AI technologies. They are in the main situated in the European and American countries. Until, and as Sheila has so creatively described, it is where you can get biases so ingrained into the system that it discriminates against certain groups. You therefore have to go to the root. It means therefore that we need to have a cadre of engineers, coders, programmers, creators of new technologies, in other words, innovation systems in place in different parts of the world that make contributions towards the creation of the various types of AI technologies that will come on board. In other words, as Sheila described, making your God in your face, in your image. And this is something that we need to look at in terms of the institutional framework that gives training to our coders, to our programmers, to our engineers that are coming out, but also to have the venture capital framework, the funding situations alive and willing to fund new entrepreneurs and to give that funding for research and development, to create products that are relevant to countries, communities outside of the European and North American way of looking at the world. But on top of that, the users of AI have to understand the level of bias that could be in the systems and create their questions within that understanding, so that you do not leave open-ended questions for AI to interpret. You have to frame and be precise, be concise, and ask the questions in such a way that you don't get open-ended interpretation of those of your questions. So it's a responsibility on both sides.
Thank you, Neema. It is your turn now.
Thank you. So my name is Neema Mjesia. I am a member of IWAT. I also work at Kenya ICT Action Network, which whereby I deal with the digital rights program for the gender team in Kenya. So recently I led women rights defenders training at the grassroots levels, where we were talking about the use of technology, raising awareness and documenting tech-facilitated gender-based violence in Kenya. So I noticed that there is a digital divide, and my question goes to Sandra. What efforts are being made to bridge the digital divide using AI technologies at the grassroots level? Thank you.
Well, Neema, I don't think that I can really answer your question, maybe in the way that you want. But again, what we have is a situation of a top-down approach, I think, in many respects, in that many of the creators of AI products are looking at the profit margin and then looking at, in terms of, profit for their shareholders. To get into a situation where you're looking at how best to help the most disenfranchised groups is probably not at a top priority. It then means that other organizations have to come into play to ensure that disenfranchised communities have access to these products. And that is where organizations like IWART, UN agencies, other charitable organizations come into play, wherein they can aerate the discussion and bring the issues to the fore, so that funding mechanisms can be put in place, and also training, because many of us we talk about AI and we talk about what it can solve and what have you. But to have an effective AI system in place that gives you real-time information and allows you to work as you should, you need to have trained people. Trained technically, yes, at one level, but also the users on the ground need to have basic understanding of what it is that they are trying to do and what they need, what they can do with the information. So it is from the top right down to the bottom. The entire system needs to be funded and needs to be organized so that it becomes effective. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming into this forum. We are now officially ending, but before ending, we need to take a photo together. So everyone has to switch on video so that we see each other here and we take a photo. Thank you so much for your presentation, for our presenters, John Kim, Aisata Kabia, Rebecca Hune, Mandira Raut, and Michael Drexler, and all of us who participated and asked questions. And thank you so much for IWAT USA and Philippines for organizing this forum of women, AI, climate change, on how can rural women use the tools of artificial intelligence, alleviate poverty in the context of climate change. My name is Fatuma Matulanga from Zanzibar, Tanzania. I'm happy to be with you all here together. So it's a time of photo. So everyone, please, those who are, there are some who didn't show.
And I
Yeah.
want to thank you too, Fatuma, for doing such a brilliant job, massive. Thank you so much. And thanks too from me to all of you who came here.
Thank you.
I said,
Teresa,
I'm sure
Teresa.
you're going to be in touch with Jung-Hee Kim. I have the information she sent to say if you want it. I think she wants to talk to you too, and Michael and Mandira and all of us here. Anyone here in the group who want to get in touch with ITU, just call me because we have a relationship with them, right? And good for us. Oh, great. Let's put our faces on the glass.
Violet, please, Razia, James, Howard, Lady Anne, Slim, Sophia, Mausumi, Mo Solita, your video
My
on, please.
husband won't do it. He's listening, but he won't do it. So Razia, show your face. Janice, Lady Anne. Where is Jola? Wasn't Jola here?
Yes, she's there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Lady Anne, can you show your face for 2 minutes? If you can't,
Okay, let's take the photo now.
Yes, smile.
Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. Another one. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you for the
Thank
Bye.
you. I said, tell
Okay,
we
guys, bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.